In the heart of the Balkans, Bosnia is fast making a name for itself as one of the untapped hiking jewels of Europe. With its sweeping alpine meadows, dramatic peaks, and ancient forests, the country's unspoilt wilderness is catching the attention of those seeking adventure away from the masses. But it hasn't always been this way. A tumultuous past has meant that these natural riches were cut off from the world. Today, however, there are those who are striving to change this outdated narrative. Local mountain guide and Exodus leader Samir Hajrić and his team are on a mission to spread the word of the Balkans' wild beauty. With their passion for hiking and unrivaled expertise of the network of old established routes, they've helped to create one of the finest hiking trails in Europe, known as the Via Dinarica. I'm Aldo Kane, explorer and Exodus Travels Ambassador, and I've come to one of the highlights of this trail in Bosnia to learn more about this spectacular wilderness and what it means to those who hike it. Nice early alpine start. It's 3:30 and we are heading up the highest mountain in Bosnia, Maglic. So we are trying to get up there, hence early start, to get the sunrise. And then with a bit of luck, we'll be able to come down the other side of the mountain and head down to the lake down there for a bit of a wild swim.
Well, maybe almost halfway. So we are here 2,000 meters, so it's another less than 400.
Almost there, Sama?
Almost there, a few more minutes, and we are at the top. Scenes like this is the reason why we hike.
Yeah.
And on Via Dinarica you can find a lot of places like this.
It's just absolutely stunning, but I have to admit it's just never been somewhere that I thought that I could go and have an adventure holiday.
Well, the Balkans, with all turbulent history, Balkan was never seen as an outdoor destination, at least major part of it. And for us living in Bosnia, trying to make some greater story about, this entire area, that's where the Via Dinarica came from. Like a one brand which had completely changed the perception of the entire Balkan region.
Well, you're changing the outside narrative, effectively, of what people think of the Balkans and what people think of Bosnia.
At least hiking communities around the world will see the place as I said, safe place to hike, to be. I mean, following the simple rules in mountains. As I said, this can be a beautiful playground for the outdoor lovers. Here, I think the Balkans are still one of the rare, I dare to say, undiscovered gems.
Don't say it too loudly. I'm just blown away by how beautiful it is here. Going through all the different biomes on the way up, all the way to the top, to the small scrub dwarf pines, all the way down to that, the forest over there, and the primeval forest, very, very old growth forest over the other side. This is probably one of the most untouched, unspoiled landscapes in Europe, I would say. We've been going for best part of a day now and haven't seen anyone else in the hills. If this was back home in the UK, you'd bump into quite a lot of people. Even at this lake, there's no one here. We've got the whole place to ourselves, which is pretty amazing. It's starting to get a bit hot, so I am going to get in this lake and go for a bit of a swim, I think, before we push on the trail. As the clouds start to roll in, we leave the high meadows of the Sudecka National Park behind us and head down to an ancient part of the country that I can't wait to explore. So this is one of the oldest forests in Europe, is that right?
Yeah, one of the last forests of this kind, where there was no human influence, according to the record, at least for last 200 years, even more, because measuring the sizes of certain trees and how the terrain looks like, so obviously even more than that.
It's amazing. So this is in effect then a primeval forest then, and almost the gateway, or barring the gateway into the national park. And it's such a diverse, having been on top of the mountain yesterday and then being in here today, it's two completely different landscapes, but equally as beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, the entire area, as the oldest national park in Bosnia, hides a lot of sites such as this one. So the highest peak of the country is located here. This forest, has a lot of variety.
I think this is probably the first proper old growth primeval forest that I've been in and spent time in. And it's amazing just how diverse it is. But not just the diversity in this forest, it's amazing. So just in 3 or 4 days, I've already been blown away with what you can see coming through Bosnia. And on foot is definitely the way to do it. But just being in here, just like listen to this, if we just be quiet for a minute, just listen to the noise of the rain at the minute. There's a bit of fog in here, and then the bird chorus. It's just very, very good for the soul. As we descend off the mountain for one of our final stops, Sama wants to take me to a location that is very close to his heart. The Partisan Memorial of Sudecka, a monument for all those who fought the anti-fascist movement. But to Sama, it also stands as a symbol of unity within the Balkans, a cultural connection that he is passionate to rebuild.
Well, I mean, what I said, the legacy these people left to all of us, not just in Bosnia, but in entire ex-Yugoslavia, is that anti-fascist fight never stops. So even though today we have 6 countries, six republics from Yugoslavia are independent countries, there are still certain values which bring people together. So I believe all people in these, again, 6 republics have more things in common than actually opposite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the sign and what we could see here today at the monument with all the flowers, people coming from Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Macedonia, joining together is actually, for me, a sign that despite being today in a different, let's say, states and countries, we still have a future together. Past is, joining us together, but I think the future too.
And that's one thing that this trail, I guess, does, is that it's physically joining.
Physically joining. I mean, there are no real borders of Yugoslavia, but actually the trail itself connects all of these countries again in a one nice story.
And you're not only connecting the geographical country, you're connecting the people, you're connecting the culture, you're reconnecting what once was.
Language, culture, everything that this thing represents today.
So cool, isn't it? So the Via Dinarica isn't just a physical trail that joins these countries together over 1,200 kilometers. It's also a symbol of hope and of togetherness. You can see that in the way that Samuel talks about how all of these nations were coming together to make the trail because they felt that was important for them. And you can see that here, the different nationalities that are coming here to actually, one, pay the respect, but also just to see this environment and be in nature in this national park. I'm blown away by it. One, it's an amazing looking country. Forests, mountains, cliffs, rivers, lakes, all of the stuff that you would expect in any alpine environment. But also it's the sense of togetherness of the people. It's somewhere that I wish I had started exploring years ago. But one thing I have realised that I've been part of that problem is the narrative needs to change here externally, because this is a country that is incredibly safe, incredibly beautiful, and there is an absolute stack of things to do for people that are into having adventures. It really does show that this is a forward-looking Bosnia. This isn't looking back into the past, this is going forward. This is a destination in its own right that would rival anywhere in the Alps, in Europe, and for sure this is a hidden gem in the crown of the Western Balkans.